Hey guys, what's up? My name is Mike, and today is a beautiful day. Although it is gray outside, it's still beautiful. No school today because it's the ACTs for juniors, so good luck to them, and hopefully they get wonderful scores. But I got to sleep in, so that's alright. And today I'm going to be discussing about this little experience. So I have quite a lot to share about when I was 16 and sophomore year. It was a crazy year. So first up, I made a video yesterday about insanity, and I can go. I said in it how I can expand so much further upon it just from personal experience alone. And just to give you a little glimpse, when I was 16, most people would say this is absolutely insane. So I went from having A's and good grades in honors classes and advanced classes to failing nearly four. I failed three classes and I got like a D minus in the last one. It was so close to an F. And also let's see. Oh boy, let's be honest here. I'm an honest person, so I went into a psych ward for a bad comment, and that kind of changed my life quite a lot. I had to go to the emergency room because of an LSD overdose. I had some other partying problems with alcohol as well, where again I would wake up naked and there'd be a lot of havoc and chaos going on, and it just wasn't good. I ran away from home when I was 16 which is today's topic, my runaway. And, I ran away across 3 different states because I live in Illinois. And I went to Michigan, and that was very interesting, to say the least, because, I'm going to go into further details in just a moment here, but it was quite crazy, because that was like my little move-out date. Let's see, what else? I was going to become a drug lord at my school because I wanted to order a lot of drugs. But the LSD overdose kind of stopped me from going that way because after that, the police and everybody, they were kind of like, holy shit, where'd you get acid from? And second of all, what's going on? I also had to stop this little I had lots of businesses going on at the moment, and most of them were legal. However, I did some illegal things because just for fun. Like, it wasn't really money, it was kind of like this adrenaline rush. So I used to scam a lot of items off of Amazon, and these were big ticket items like iPads and MacBooks, and this was just fun for me. I would like steal designer clothing and all this shit, basically just by lying, and it was full deceit. It was degeneration, but I said screw it, why not, So some of you guys are like, holy shit, this guy's absolutely insane, but hey, it's called honesty. We all have some bad moments, and I look back at when I was 16, and there's quite many learning experiences to be had from when I was going through some adventures. I ran a porn site, which was, I'm pretty sure, illegal too because I was underage. So it wasn't mine or anybody. It wasn't like that. It was just I ran a porn site because I was like, fuck it, why not? What else can I do to have money? I ran a Bitcoin investment group, which actually turned out pretty well because I made a few $1,000 from that. How it was legal, however, then I wanted to turn it into illegal because I wanted to turn it into a Ponzi scheme. I was like, screw it, I can get a Bentley by the end of this summer. Which didn't turn out too well because of, again, the LSD overdose and like failing school and runaway and all this stuff. There's a lot more I could go on. But anyways, so it kind of shows you there's a lot going on here before my runaway. So there was also the issue that I had a long-distance relationship with a beautiful girl. However, there was a lot going on. Her parents were kind of abusive. I didn't really like my parents as well, and we were in a relationship for like 2 years before my runaway, right? And don't worry, this is just CBD capsules. I'm grabbing random stuff off my desk just because, like, oh boy. Anyways, so I was in a relationship, and she lived in Michigan, and I've seen her before a couple times, and those meetings were great, and it just sucked being in a long distance relationship with someone you really, really love, right? And unfortunate thing is I loved her more than myself at the moment, which was bad looking at it now, but she also did the same for me. She loved me more than she did for herself. And then after the LSD overdose, because she wasn't into drugs at all, I also did lie about the fact that I wasn't stoned for 3 months straight, which I was completely stoned. I was buying ounces and ounces of weed, and I bought a volcano vaporizer. I bought as much paraphernalia as possible because I was like, screw it, I have a lot of money, let's spend it all, which I did blow through thousands of dollars very quickly on illicit purchases. But anyways, so she was pissed at me, and rightfully so. So she broke up with me, but then we got back together a little bit, and it was kind of like, hey, I'll be there soon, I'm going to run away from home, and I'm just going to show up, and, things are going to be better. We're going to live a great life. She was 18. I was 16. So, she was an adult. She was able to move out. And so what I did was, after summer, as soon as school started, which also I moved to a different school because of the fact that I moved like 5 minutes. I moved into an unincorporated zone of my town, which unincorporated means basically you don't pay the same taxes. So see ya, you're out, because my town's kind of like this wealthier area of Illinois, and they really, really care about taxes and stuff. So anyways, I had to move to a new school. I didn't like that. I didn't like the new school. I didn't like the fact that I had to leave behind my friends, and it just didn't go too well. So I had a lot of issues going on at the same time, and this just further made me want to run away from home, run away from everything, right? I didn't really like my parents because they didn't allow me to do certain things, which is understandable. Of course, they were stricter than most parents would be, so that pissed me off, because I was like, if I had less stricter parents, I probably would have gotten away with a lot more things, which now looking back at it, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because like, imagine if I was a drug lord and there was like an FBI or DEA raid, which there was a DEA raid at my school, but not for me. That was for some other people, which was very interesting. Anyways, so I ran away from home because I had some money saved up. I was able to make some more cash, and I bought a random sketchy minivan with the license plates from this random dude, and it was very interesting, off of Craigslist. And so what I did after that was I was able to rent a place in Michigan. I paid fully for the first month, and I had enough for the second month. So what I did was, one night I said screw it. 2 in the morning, I was dressed in my PJs, said goodnight to my dad, and closed the door, changed back from my PJs into my clothes. I packed up my computer. I packed up a 7-foot teddy bear, which was remarkable. This teddy bear was taller than me. I'm 6'3", and like you can imagine. So I had a teddy bear driving, shotgun with me in the fucking minivan. So it fell. Oops, sorry. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. So I also packed up a few luggages and a few suitcases. So what I did was I kicked out my window and threw everything outside. And what I did was I bought the minivan like 2 days before, and I was driving it. It was just kind of like last minute planning. It was just like, where am I going to park this? I can't park it in front of my house. So I drove to the next street, and there was this just randomly, neighbors, cutting his garden or something. I'm like, yo, hey, listen, can I leave my minivan here? I'll pay you $20. There was some language barriers, a communication breakdown, Led Zeppelin. But anyways, there was a communication breakdown because he was Chinese, so his wife came out. Anyways, eventually I got the minivan parked, and it was a Saturday night, I believe. Yes, Saturday night, and I got the minivan, and I drove it. However, there was some beeping noise because I couldn't park it, and like I haven't driven anything for months before, so my driving skills weren't all that great. Plus, I also was a little bit high on Adderall, Ritalin, and everything was kind of like, fucked up. So there's this car beeping out at 2 in the morning in the middle of the road, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is very interesting. So I quickly run past my gate. I open the gate, right, and I take all my stuff, I throw it into the minivan. About 20 minutes later, which surprisingly my parents didn't wake up, no one woke up. Even my dog, my German Shepherd, which loves to bark, didn't give a fuck. So, I packed everything, got into the minivan, And I drove off, and it was all good. I got into the highway, had some cash, had everything, packed. Everything seemed to be going straight. Now it's just going to be a 12-hour drive. Would be a 6-hour drive, but I wanted to obey all the speed limits. I wanted to obey every single law out there. And so I did. And about 30 minutes in, I realized, holy fuck, I left the directions at home. I left everything. I left the address. I left everything on a piece of paper on my desk at home. And so what I did was I said, fuck it. And I got into a parking lot and I started like pounding around the car. I was just like, god damn it, this is fucking retarded. And anyways, after about 2 minutes of that, I got back into my car. I drove back to my house. And I got past the gate, and I tried climbing back through the window. I was like, heaving up into it, but I couldn't. I couldn't lift myself up, so I'm like, fuck, this isn't going too well. I wasn't really that stressed out. I was a little bit stressed out, but like, I wasn't that stressed out, just because like, to me, this was another adventure, really. I mean, most people would be like, oh my God, but seriously, I've had so much shit happen in my life that like, it doesn't really affect me anymore. Like, I don't really care that much. So I was a little bit stressed out though, because I'm like, how am I going to get back in? So what I thought of, which was kind of clever, I opened the door. It was unlocked. And so I went to use the bathroom. I just walked loudly, flushed the toilet. Shh. My dog must have heard it, but he was like, okay, Mike's using the bathroom. No fucks given, whatever. I'm not going to bark. And I crawled into my room, I took the paper, I got back out, got back into the car, got on the highway, went straight on ahead. And the reason I had the directions was because I already bought a second SIM card, and I threw out my other SIM card because I didn't want any tracking. I also had my hair cut, which it was long like this. And then I got it cut to like that, and I got it dyed completely blonde, which looked terrible, but it didn't look like myself. I was also in the process of getting a fake ID. My fake name was Seth Krieger, which was very interesting because I looked into the town where I was going to be staying. It was of Germanic descent, and I liked the name Krieger, and I was like, Krieger's German, might as well fit right in, and I had this whole fake story built up. And I was also in the process of getting not fake, eye contacts that were blue because it was German a little bit. And I just, Aryan, blue eyes, blonde hair, Seth Krieger, which I knew a little bit of German, but not that much. I'm actually Polish. But anyways, so I had all this stuff going on, and so I was kind of afraid of the police tracking me down and everything. So I really kind of planned this out. It was last minute planning, but I definitely planned this out. And, it was boring driving for 12 hours, but eventually I got there. I packed in all my stuff. I met up with my girlfriend. It was quite wonderful to see her, but it didn't last that long. Anyways, 3 days later, what happened was, so my girlfriend's parents, they knew that I ran away from home, and they thought I was trying to kill her, which was very interesting because her dad always thought I was trying to kill her for some reason because, we met on the internet, which, he thought I was like an angry man trying to shoot her down with a shotgun, which never happened. I mean, I kissed her, but it wasn't violent at all. So it was like, okay, the dad was a little bit psychotic as well. But anyways, fuck it, right? So 3 days later, she's calling me. Well, she cried and she messaged me at like 6 a.m. Hey, you got to get the fuck out of here before like the cops catch you. They surrounded the house, and it's just like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this bullshit. So I packed everything up. I got into my minivan. I had just a little bit of gas, and so I was like, okay, shit. I wasn't able to get my next paycheck. I had money, but I like kind of spent it on rent and food and everything, and over those 3 days, and I wasn't prepared for just this sudden random move down to Indiana. So I was like, shit, I got to get down to Indiana because if I turn myself into Indiana, people might think that instead of me going to Michigan, I was going to Ohio because I didn't want her parents to realize I was there in Michigan. So anyways, I drove down to Indiana, And I ran out of gas in this random, really sketchy town. So I walked into the police station. I'm like, hello. And they're like, hi. And they were really bored out of their minds. They were just like, what do you want? I was like, well, I'm here to turn myself in. I'm a runaway. And they're like, you sure you want to do that? Like, honestly, they were just like, really? Like, I was like, yeah, don't want my parents to know. Which was funny because I turned myself into the police station first before calling my parents. That's kind of proving how much I didn't like my parents. Anyways, so I turned myself in. The captain comes over. He's like, oh boy, okay, a runaway. Well, we would drive you back home if it was like nearby, but you live in a different state. So like, where can we hold you? And they were like, well, the local juvenile detention center. So yeah, I had a 6-hour stay in juvie, which was very interesting. I passed by, what was it? I think it was Purdue in Indiana. Purdue, the university, or it was something with a P. It was one of the big universities. Anyways, so we passed by there. It was kind of ironic. Instead of going to Purdue, I went to the juvie, which was funny because the people at the juvenile detention center actually, like, it was just sad because the people I met at the psych ward it was sad both because the people I met at the psych ward were amazing people. Like most of these guys and gals were there because of to get into a psych ward, you have to say a homicidal comment, a suicidal comment, or your judge or a judge orders you, your court order to go to a psych ward, and you have to have some proof. It can't be just like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself. You have to be like, I'm gonna kill myself tonight using Xanax or something like that. Or you have to have some reasonable proof that you were actually going to proceed with this. So anyways, a lot of these guys just tried suicide, and it was kind of sad to see them in the psych ward. But that's another story for another time. Most of the people were wonderful there. But it's funny because in the juvenile detention center, most of those guys were actually kind of insane a little bit. Like they were screaming, and just, it was kind of a little bit scary because they were not people I was able to like discuss normally with. Like I was just like, okay, right, I'll just wait my stay here, and it's gonna be like, okay, it was very interesting because the juvenile was locked down. It was like prison, giant doors, white everywhere, thick bulletproof windows, and like cameras everywhere. So you're kind of like, okay, well, this is a very interesting center to be in. Psych ward was very similar, so that's why I'm comparing the two. But anyways, after that, my parents picked me up. We left the car there because I had no insurance, and it was like, okay. By the way, when I was driving there, it took 12 hours, and then down back to Indiana, I was like, screw it, if I'm going to turn myself into the police, might as well break a few more laws, right? So I gassed it to 120 miles an hour. And so I was racing a Mercedes. It was quite funny because I was on the first lane, on the highway, the fastest lane, and I was going 120, and this cop pulls out. I'm like, okay, I'm busted. Woohoo! Yeah! Fuck yeah, right? And I was racing this Mercedes. The cop drives past me, catches the Mercedes, most likely because the Mercedes versus a shitty 1999 Dodge minivan. Probably the Mercedes has more money, right? So they pulled over the Mercedes and got him. And I was like, wow, that was kind of interesting. By the way, when I was driving 120 miles an hour, it was close, not full 120. It was like 115 because it couldn't reach it all the way. And the wheel was just like, because the car had 300,000 miles on it, which was very interesting because the wheel I thought would fall off at any moment. So it's kind of like, either I'm arrested today or I'm gonna die. It's like, let's see what's gonna happen. By the way, I threw out the Adderall with the Ritalin and Vivance because I was just like, if I turn myself in, might as well like do it without drugs on me because that would be like bad. I don't know, maybe a felony, and I did care a tiny bit about that. But anyways, I returned home, and my mom dyed my hair back again, and I was in school a few hours after releasing from juvie, which was very interesting. And then me and my girlfriend didn't speak for a few months, and then we got back together again, and then she found someone else, and here we are, 2 years later. I'm in a much better position. I moved out. I'm living independent by myself, but things are much, much better than they were 2 years ago. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this little story of my runaway. It wasn't so bad, actually, But I wish you guys all the best. Hopefully you're having a wonderful time, and namaste.